We gather today to give thanks for all the ways in which God uses creatures to teach us things. Sometimes it's as subtle as the innocent look in a dog's eye, or seeing the fine handiwork of the Creator in a dragonfly's wing, or just the subtle hint of eternity of a flock of wild geese flying away. But other times it's considerably less subtle than that. This is the Mississippi Squirrel Revival. Well, when I was a kid, I'd take a trip every summer down to Mississippi to visit my granny in her rarefied, deep southern world. I'd run barefooted all day long, climbing trees, free as a song, and one day I happened to catch myself a squirrel. Well, I stuffed him down in an old shoebox and punched a couple of holes in the top, and when Sunday come, I snuck him into church. I was sitting way back in the very last pew, showing him to my good buddy Hugh, when that squirrel got loose and went totally berserk. Well, what happened next is hard to tell. Some thought it was heaven and others thought it was, well, but the fact that something was among us was plain to see. As the choir sang "I Surrender All," the squirrel ran up Harv Newman's coveralls, and Harv leaped to his feet and said, "Something's got a hold on me." Yow! The day the squirrel went berserk in that first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival, but it broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah. Well, Harv hit the aisles a-dancing and a-screaming. Some thought he had religion, others thought he had a demon, but Harv thought he had a weed-eater loose in his Fruit of the Looms. Well, he fell to his knees to plead and beg, and that squirrel ran out of his britches leg unobserved to the other side of the room. All the way down to the amen pew where sat Sister Bertha Better Than You, who'd been watching the proceedings with sadistic glee. Well, you should have seen the look in her eyes when that squirrel jumped her garters and crossed her thighs. She jumped to her feet and said, "Lord, have mercy on me." As that squirrel made laps inside her dress, she began to cry and then to confess to sins that would make a sailor blush with shame. She told of gossip and church dissension, but the thing that got the most attention was when she started talking about her love life, and then she started naming names. The day the squirrel went berserk in that first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival, yet it broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah. Well, 7 deacons and the pastor got saved, and $25,000 got raised, and 50 volunteered for missions in the Congo on the spot. And even without an invitation, there were at least 500 rededications, and we all got rebaptized, whether we needed it or not. Now, you've heard the Bible story, I guess, about how he parted the waters for Moses to pass. Oh, the miracles God hath wrought in this old world. But the thing I'll remember to my dying day is how he put our church back on the narrow way with a half-crazed Mississippi squirrel. The day the squirrel went berserk in that first self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival, but it broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah. The day the squirrel went berserk in that sweet self-righteous church in that sleepy little town of Pascagoula. It was a fight for survival, but it broke out in revival. They were jumping pews and shouting hallelujah.